Did you know, some vegetables, yes, even the ones we've been told are healthy of our whole lives, could actually be making you feel worse? You heard that right. Certain vegetables might be silently working against your aging body, causing stiff joints, digestive discomfort, or even spikes in your blood pressure, without you ever realizing it. Now, I know that sounds strange. After all, we've grown up hearing, "Eat your veggies," haven't we? But here's the truth no one really talks about. Not all vegetables are friendly to seniors. As we age, our bodies change. What worked for you in your 40s or even your 60s might not work now. Some vegetables can increase inflammation, mess with your blood sugar, or leave you feeling bloated, tired, and just off. And the scariest part? You might still be eating them every week, thinking you're doing the right thing. But here's the good news, there are also vegetables, nutrient-packed, senior-friendly veggies, that can reignite your energy, ease those aches, support digestion, and even sharpen your memory. So don't go anywhere. Because in this video, we're uncovering 3 vegetables you should never touch again, and 3 you must start eating regularly if you want to feel better, think clearer, and move easier in your golden years. Trust me, this could change how you feel every single day. Welcome back to Elders Wisdom Institute, your trusted corner on the internet where we talk about living longer, stronger, and wiser. Here, we believe aging doesn't mean slowing down, it means getting smarter about what your body really needs. Now recently, we had a heartfelt conversation with a retired nutritionist who's worked closely with seniors for more than 3 decades. She's helped thousands of older adults reclaim their energy and well-being simply by tweaking what they eat. And what she told us about certain vegetables, well, it completely changed the way we look at our grocery list. It shocked us and inspired this very video. So today, we're going to walk you through which vegetables could be secretly harming your body and which ones have the power to transform your health naturally, gently, and effectively. Stick with us. This one's going to be eye-opening. Let's start with the first group of vegetables you may need to pause and reconsider, especially if you've been dealing with stiff joints, swelling, or unexplained body aches. Now, I want you to remember, this isn't about fear. It's about awareness. And when you know better, you can feel better. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Nightshade vegetables. Eggplant. Bell peppers. Tomatoes. Even white potatoes fall into this group. Now, I know, those sound like healthy choices, right? You've probably eaten them your whole life. Maybe you've even grown them in your backyard. But here's what most people don't realize. For some older adults, nightshades can quietly trigger inflammation, especially in the joints. Let me tell you about someone I once knew. Her name was June. She was 77, full of life, loved gardening, but every morning she'd wake up with stiff, aching fingers. She told me, "I thought it was just old age, part of the deal." But something didn't sit right. She wasn't inactive. She wasn't overdoing it. She even ate what she thought was a clean diet, salads, roasted veggies, lots of tomatoes. Her doctor ran some tests. Nothing serious showed up. Then a nutritionist stepped in and gently suggested cutting out nightshades for just a few weeks. June wasn't convinced, but she gave it a shot. And you know what happened? By the second week, the stiffness in her hands began to ease. The swelling went down. She could finally hold her coffee cup in the morning without wincing. It didn't cure anything overnight, but it was a shift, a small one that made her daily life better. Now, the reason behind all this is something called solanin, a naturally occurring chemical in nightshades. In sensitive people, solanin may irritate the gut lining or flare up inflammation in the joints. But here's where it gets tricky. Is it really the vegetable? Or is it the chemicals sprayed on them during farming that trigger the issue? Hard to say for sure. For some, nightshades don't cause any problems at all. But for others, especially those dealing with arthritis, joint swelling, or autoimmune conditions, these seemingly healthy veggies could be quietly making things worse. So if you've been living with unexplained aches or stiffness, and you eat these vegetables often, it might be worth pausing for a while. Try replacing them and see what happens. You might just find your body feels lighter. And sometimes, that small difference can mean everything. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Nightshade vegetables. Eggplant. Bell peppers. Tomatoes. Even white potatoes fall into this group. Now, I know, those sound like healthy choices, right? You've probably eaten them your whole life. Maybe you've even grown them in your backyard. But here's what most people don't realize. For some older adults, nightshades can quietly trigger inflammation, especially in the joints. Let me tell you about someone I once knew. Her name was June. She was 77, full of life, loved gardening, but every morning she'd wake up with stiff, aching fingers. She told me, "I thought it was just old age, part of the deal." But something didn't sit right. She wasn't inactive. She wasn't overdoing it. She even ate what she thought was a clean diet: salads, roasted veggies, lots of tomatoes. Her doctor ran some tests. Nothing serious showed up. Then a nutritionist stepped in and gently suggested cutting out nightshades for just a few weeks. June wasn't convinced, but she gave it a shot. And you know what happened? By the second week, the stiffness in her hands began to ease. The swelling went down. She could finally hold her coffee cup in the morning without wincing. It didn't cure anything overnight, but it was a shift, a small one that made her daily life better. Now, the reason behind all this is something called solanin, a naturally occurring chemical in nightshades. In sensitive people, solanin may irritate the gut lining or flare up inflammation in the joints. But here's where it gets tricky. Is it really the vegetable? Or is it the chemicals sprayed on them during farming that trigger the issue? Hard to say for sure. For some, nightshades don't cause any problems at all. But for others, especially those dealing with arthritis, joint swelling, or autoimmune conditions, these seemingly healthy veggies could be quietly making things worse. So if you've been living with unexplained aches or stiffness, and you eat these vegetables often, it might be worth pausing for a while. Try replacing them and see what happens. You might just find your body feels lighter. And sometimes, that small difference can mean everything. Let's move on to the second group of vegetables to be careful with. Canned or pickled vegetables. I know. They're easy, they're convenient, and they last forever in the pantry. For many older adults living alone or with limited energy, popping open a can of green beans or spooning out some pickled beets feels like a smart, simple choice. But here's what most people don't realize. That little can might be packing a whole lot of sodium, far more than your body actually needs. Now, sodium isn't the villain it's made out to be. We do need it, in the right amounts. But here's the problem. Most canned and pickled vegetables aren't just seasoned, they're loaded. And when you're eating these regularly, that excess sodium can quietly work against your heart, your kidneys, and your circulation. I remember talking to a man named Harold, 81 years old, widowed, living on his own. He told me, "I eat mostly from cans. It's just easier. No cleanup, no waste." He didn't think twice about it. Until his legs started swelling. His ankles would puff up like balloons by late afternoon. He was constantly tired. His blood pressure was bouncing all over the place. His doctor adjusted his medication. But the real breakthrough? It came when his caregiver took a closer look at his meals. Canned carrots. Pickled okra. Jarred collard greens. Every one of them packed with sodium, some over 400 milligrams per serving. And Harold wasn't eating just one serving. He was eating the whole can. Within a couple of weeks of switching to low-sodium options and fresh or frozen vegetables instead, the swelling started to ease. His energy crept back in. He even began walking to the mailbox again without stopping to catch his breath. Now here's the nuance. Not all canned veggies are bad. Some brands do it right, they use no salt, or very little. They avoid harsh preservatives. They label clearly. But how do you know which ones to trust? The truth is, unless you're reading every label carefully, and even then, it's hard to tell what's hiding inside. And pickled vegetables? Well, those often come with vinegar and brine that are just saturated in salt. One small serving could carry almost half your recommended sodium for the entire day. So, what's the takeaway? If you're going to buy canned or jarred veggies, look for low sodium or no salt added on the label. And better yet, rinse them. Yes, even the canned ones. Running them under water for 20 seconds can wash away some of the excess salt. And when you have the time or the support, try rotating in more fresh or frozen vegetables. They're just as nutritious, sometimes more, and they don't bring the sodium baggage along with them. You don't have to throw out every can in your pantry. But becoming aware, that's the first step toward protecting your heart and living with more energy. Because what seems small, a little extra salt here and there, can slowly add up. And your body, especially as it ages, feels the weight of every choice. Now, let's talk about the third vegetable seniors should be cautious with. And this one might surprise you even more than the last two. Corn. Yes, corn. Whether it's a fresh cob in the summer, a can of sweet corn, or popcorn during your favorite TV show, it's everywhere. And let's be honest, it tastes good. It's sweet, it's familiar, and it's comforting. But here's the thing many people don't realize. Corn has one of the highest glycemic indexes of all vegetables. That means it can cause a rapid spike in your blood sugar, followed by an energy crash that leaves you feeling sluggish, foggy, or even irritable. I once spoke with a woman named Dottie, 75, bright eyes, always cheerful, but she kept complaining about feeling drained every afternoon. She told me, "I eat pretty healthy, I usually just have a bowl of corn and a sandwich for lunch." That sounded innocent enough. But that bowl of corn? It was sending her blood sugar on a roller coaster. She'd feel full and satisfied for maybe an hour. Then suddenly, bam! Tired, lightheaded, needing a nap she didn't plan for. Her doctor ran some basic tests. Nothing alarming. But her nutritionist suggested cutting back on corn, especially during lunch. Replacing it with fiber-rich greens, a little protein, or some beans. Within a week, she felt more stable. No more wild energy swings. Her afternoons became productive again, not spent dozing off. Now, corn isn't necessarily toxic. It's natural. It's not processed the way cookies or cakes are. But the sugar inside, called starch, digests quickly and behaves in the body a lot like table sugar. That fast digestion means your body gets a quick surge of glucose. But with no fiber or healthy fats to slow it down, it fades just as fast, and your energy drops with it. And for seniors, especially those managing pre-diabetes, diabetes, or unstable energy levels, this kind of food roller coaster can quietly weigh you down over time. But here's where the conversation opens up. Some experts say corn is fine in moderation. And they might be right. But then the question becomes, what is moderation for a 70-year-old with slowing digestion and changing insulin sensitivity? That's the gray area. Some say corn's harmless if you're active and eat it with protein or fiber. Others say it's best to avoid it altogether, especially if you're trying to maintain steady energy or lose belly fat in later life. So what do you think? Should corn be labeled a red flag for seniors, or is it okay now and then as long as you're aware of how it makes you feel? It's worth discussing. Because every body is different. What spikes one person's sugar might not affect another the same way. But if you've noticed that crash after lunch, if you feel sleepy after a bowl of corn, or you're dealing with blood sugar swings or stubborn belly weight, it may be worth pausing and tuning into how your body reacts to it. You deserve food that fuels you, or not food that tricks you into feeling good for a moment, only to leave you more tired than before. Sometimes, small adjustments like this can give you back a whole part of the day you thought was lost to age. Now that we've covered the vegetables to be cautious with, let's shift gears and talk about the ones your body craves as it ages. These next 3 vegetables can do more than just fill your plate. They can support your bones, protect your memory, and even lift your mood. So let's begin with a powerhouse that deserves a spot on your plate every single week, sometimes every single day: white heavy checkmark leafy greens. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, too. I know, some of these have a bitter taste. But when you realize what they give you in return, that bitterness turns into something beautiful. Let me share something personal. My father, an 84-year-old retired carpenter, was never big on vegetables. He grew up on meat and potatoes, worked with his hands, never cared much for salads. But a few years back, he started having issues with balance. He was forgetting small things, misplacing tools, losing his train of thought mid-sentence. His doctor told him it was normal aging. But I wasn't convinced. We sat down one day and looked at his diet. It was beige: bread, meat, pasta. No color, no greens. So we made one small change. Just one. Every morning, I blended him a green smoothie. A handful of spinach, a splash of almond milk, a little banana. That was it. Within 2 weeks, he said, my mind feels clearer. And by the end of the month, he was reading again, something he hadn't done in over a year. Now, what's the magic behind leafy greens? They're rich in folate, which supports brain function and mood. They're packed with vitamin K, which keeps your bones strong and reduces the risk of fractures. And they contain calcium, magnesium, and even plant-based iron, all essential for energy, movement, and memory. Plus, they help clean your blood. That's right, these greens act like internal sweepers, flushing out toxins and keeping your circulation flowing. And for seniors, especially those worried about cognitive decline or brittle bones, these aren't just helpful, they're vital. You don't need to eat a giant bowl. Even a handful sautéed with garlic, stirred into soup, or blended into a smoothie can make a difference over time. Now, some folks ask, what if I'm on blood thinners? Should I avoid vitamin K? Great question, and it's one to ask your doctor about. But here's the key: consistency matters. If you eat leafy greens regularly, and your doctor knows it, your medication can be adjusted to match your healthy habits. Don't let confusion stop you from eating what's good for you. So if you haven't had your greens today, maybe it's time to add just a little. Not because you should, but because you deserve a mind that stays clear and bones that stay strong. This isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. Let's keep going, because this next group of vegetables is a true gift to the aging body. White heavy checkmark cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. Even cabbage and bok choy fit in here. Now, I get it, these might not be the most exciting names on your grocery list. They've got strong smells, they're not always pretty, and if you've ever overcooked Brussels sprouts, well, you know the smell I'm talking about. But don't be fooled by their humble appearance. These vegetables are quiet warriors, working behind the scenes to keep your body clean, protected, and balanced. Let me explain why. Cruciferous vegetables are packed with compounds that help your liver do what it does best: detoxify. As we age, our bodies don't clear out waste and toxins quite as efficiently. And that buildup, over time, can affect everything: your energy, your skin, your memory, even your immune system. But when you eat cruciferous veggies regularly, they supply something special: sulforaphane. It's a natural chemical that activates your liver's detox pathways. Think of it like turning on a faucet that washes away harmful substances. And here's something even more powerful. Research has shown that cruciferous vegetables may help lower the risk of certain cancers, especially colon, breast, and prostate cancers. That's not just a hopeful claim. That's science-backed, evidence-based nutrition at work. I once worked with a retired school teacher named Frank. He was sharp as a tack, but his digestion was sluggish, and he was constantly bloated. His daughter convinced him to start eating broccoli twice a week. At first, he resisted, said it gave him gas, made him feel off. But then we made one simple change. We steamed the broccoli gently, just a few minutes, until it was tender but still vibrant. We tossed it with a drizzle of olive oil and a sprinkle of garlic. And that made all the difference. Frank started to enjoy it. And better yet, his bloating eased. His skin cleared. He told me, I feel cleaner inside. So if cruciferous veggies have ever felt too harsh on your stomach, here's the trick: steam them lightly, just enough to soften the fibers and reduce the bitterness. Add a pinch of sea salt. Maybe a squeeze of lemon or a bit of garlic to bring out the flavor. This makes them gentler on digestion, especially for seniors with sensitive stomachs or slower metabolism. You don't have to eat a mountain of them. Even half a cup a few times a week can help your liver, protect your cells, and support long-term vitality. And one more thing, if you're on thyroid medication or have thyroid concerns, you might have heard cruciferous veggies should be avoided. But again, it's all about moderation and proper cooking. Talk to your doctor, but don't let old myths keep you from one of nature's most protective gifts. Your body is working hard for you every single day. Cruciferous vegetables help lighten the load, so you can live lighter, too. And now, let's wrap up this powerful list with a vegetable that doesn't always get the spotlight, but it absolutely should. White heather checkmark beets. Yes, those deep red, earthy-tasting roots that sometimes stain your fingers and your cutting board. Beets are nature's little circulatory boosters. They do something very few vegetables can do at this level. They help improve blood flow throughout your body, from your heart to your brain to your toes. And when you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, that's more important than ever. See, beets are rich in something called nitrates, not the processed kind found in deli meats, but the natural kind. These compounds help your body produce nitric oxide, which relaxes and widens your blood vessels. That means your heart doesn't have to work as hard. Your blood pressure can ease down. And oxygen gets delivered more efficiently to your brain and muscles. I remember a woman named Celia. She was 78 and had recently stopped walking with her senior walking group because she kept feeling lightheaded and short of breath. She thought maybe it was just old age, maybe she was slowing down. But during a nutrition class, we introduced her to roasted beets. She wrinkled her nose at first. Said they tasted like dirt. But then she tried a beet salad with goat cheese and walnuts. The next week, she came back and said, I don't know if it's in my head, but I feel steadier. My walk felt easier. It wasn't in her head. After just 2 weeks of eating beets a few times a week, her blood pressure had come down slightly, nothing drastic, but just enough to give her body that little extra boost it needed. Now here's where it gets interesting. Beets can be eaten in so many different ways. You can eat them raw, shredded over a salad. You can juice them with carrots and a bit of apple, great for mornings. Or you can roast them, which brings out their natural sweetness and gives them a soft, buttery texture. So here's a little twist I want to ask you. Raw, juiced, or roasted, which version do you prefer? Leave a comment and share, because everyone has their own way of enjoying this powerful root, and you might inspire someone else to try it a new way. And yes, your urine might turn pink. That's totally normal. It's not blood, it's just the natural pigments working their way out of your system. No need to panic. Beets are also full of antioxidants, folate, and fiber, making them great for your heart, your brain, and your digestion. And for those struggling with fatigue, poor circulation, or memory fog, they can be a gentle nudge in the right direction. So if you've been feeling a bit off, low energy, cold hands, or your mind just not as sharp, try adding beets into your week. Start small. A slice here, a juice there. Let your body tell you how it feels. Because with beets, sometimes the smallest change leads to the biggest shift in how you move through your day. So remember, just because it grows from the earth doesn't mean it's right for everybody, especially after 60. Some vegetables, as surprising as it may sound, can quietly stir up problems. We talked about nightshades, like eggplants and peppers, possibly triggering joint pain or inflammation in sensitive folks. We looked at canned and pickled vegetables, sneaky with their salt content, raising blood pressure and causing bloating. And of course, corn, sweet, familiar, but with a glycemic kick that can spike your blood sugar and leave you crashing later. But on the brighter side, we also uncovered 3 vegetables that are like allies in your aging journey. White heather checkmark leafy greens, nourishing your bones, your brain, and your blood. White heather checkmark cruciferous veggies, cleaning house in your liver, lowering your risk of disease. White heather checkmark and beets, a gift for your heart and mind, helping your blood flow freely and gently. The beauty is, you get to choose. You get to listen to your own body, your own story, and decide what's worth keeping on your plate, and what's best left off. So let me ask you, have you ever noticed how your body reacts to any of these vegetables? Do your joints feel tighter after a tomato-rich pasta dish? Have you felt more alert after a week of spinach salads? Which ones have you stopped eating recently? Which ones have you discovered, maybe a bit late, but just in time? Take a moment. Reflect. And if you feel comfortable, share your story in the comments. It might seem small, but your experience could be the exact wisdom another senior needs to hear right now. You never know who you'll help by opening up. Here at Elders Wisdom Institute, we believe aging well is about sharing what works and what doesn't, with honesty, curiosity, and care. So if today's video gave you even one helpful nudge or one aha moment, I invite you to join our circle. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. Because this isn't just a YouTube channel. It's a place for thoughtful conversation, reliable guidance, and the kind of support that reminds you you're never walking this path alone. And if you're wondering what to watch next, don't miss our upcoming video, where we reveal one fruit that might be aging your brain faster than you think. It shocked us. And it might surprise you, too. Oh, and before you go, one of our subscribers shared that swapping out regular lettuce for kale helped her memory and balance. Coincidence? Maybe. But maybe, just maybe, it's your body asking for better fuel. Take care, eat wisely, and we'll see you in the next video.